chorus solo on There Will Never Be Another You. In this video, we'll talk about creating long phrases and stepwise motion, all while outlining the changes and ways that we can practice this. We'll also discuss some of the twists and turns of the progression itself. Before we get started with all that, please hit the like button if you enjoy this, subscribe to get connected with more videos, and check out our free guide to jazz guitar improvisation, link in the description. Stepwise motion is when we play in whole steps and half steps the majority of our lines. So for example, if I play something like on the E flat major, then we're going from F to E flat whole step, E flat to D half step, D to C whole step, and we could keep going on like that. This is pretty commonplace among horn players, piano players, and on guitar we can do this too. So if you've studied scales and the fingerings, the 5 fingerings, you've likely already done all of this. So let's say we're in position 5 and position 6. We play, so one of the 5 fingerings would be essentially, at least the way I approach it is within the range of a position or two, you get the lowest note available and the highest note available within that fingering. So let's compare a couple of the chords. If we have an E flat major 7 and a D minor 7 flat 5, both of those fit inside of this fingering. So I played an E flat major scale for that. And I'm still working in that note collection for D minor 7 flat 5. So what is the difference? It's mostly an aural awareness. We have E flat major. Our consonant notes are going to be E flat, G, B flat, D. And on the D minor 7 flat 5, consonant notes are going to be D, F, A flat, and C. So what's the technique for playing stepwise motion? One thing to practice here is to play the chord tones on the numbered beats. So for example, you could play something like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1. So notice on those last few notes, the last interval was a minor third and then landed on the root. Why is that? Well, the 7 is going to be a chord tone, and then the root is right next to it. So we fit something else in between. So it doesn't have to be 100% whole steps and half steps. When you practice all of this, try it out from different tones of the given chord. So you might start with the G and play 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And then try this out from each one of the chord tones as a starting point, ascending and descending. Then keep in mind that we practice these types of exercises so that we internalize it, and then we improvise freely the phrases that we want to create, the phrases that we want to hear. So let's check out that D minor 7 flat 5. We can work on the same kind of concept. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so what did I do there? Well, I played the root on a numbered beat. I played the flat third on a numbered beat. Play the flat 5 on a numbered beat. And I play the flat 7 on a numbered beat. And then I connected that over with a passing tone over to the root, since the 7 is a whole step away from the root note. Again, you can go through the same process with all of the tones of the chord. Prioritize the third. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now we don't always necessarily improvise like that, like I mentioned before. And we can even do the exact opposite to build tension in the line. So let's go back to the E flat major for a moment. We might play something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So that's going to create tension because those tones on the numbered beats are going to be outside of the chord tones. And I'll just mention one more approach with this. Sometimes we can treat the 6th as a consonance on major chords. And in that case, we might put a half step in between the 5th and the 6th. So we might play lines like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. You can think of that simply as just a conceptual passing tone, a major bebop scale, or Barry Harris method kind of note collection. Okay, we took 2 chord examples from this tune, and we got an idea of what we need to go for in general on these chords. We want to develop a mastery of what's really inside that sound at a given moment and what's outside of that sound, and using some common passing tones. So check out the changes to this tune and work on those chords and see about developing a little bit of the specifics on the given chord and the associated chord scale and the 5 fingerings. Accomplishing the ability to play stepwise motion and create long phrases really demonstrates mastery of the ability to play changes. So it's really something to strive for, develop, and even maintain. If you struggle with the changes to this tune, you might try a simpler tune. But really, this one doesn't have too many twists and turns, but let's talk about those now. We're in the key of 3 flats. We're in E flat major. We're going to visit the major and the relative minor in this tune. And that's where that D minor 7 flat 5 ends up going. So we start on the 1 chord, E flat major, and then we have a 2, 5 to the relative minor. When a tune goes to relative minor, we need to, at minimum, make a slight adjustment to one of the notes in the note collection, key of 3 flats. We move the B flat to a B natural. Let's check that out from G to G because it's a G7. That's known as C harmonic minor, or the chord scale from G, Phrygian dominant. And that's the very minimal amount of language you need to play a 5-1 in minor. But essentially, we're all in the same key signature all through there. And then we're going to go into this B flat minor 7 to E flat 7. So if you've got your circle of fifths out, we're just visiting the neighboring key, borrowing from its 2-5 of A flat major, key of 4 flats. And just prior to that, optional changes, F7, or you can have a passing chord on B minor 7. So something like this. So when you know the 5 fingerings, you can easily adjust in the same position that we were just in. Notice all the notes are the same except for one. So we have D flats instead of D naturals. All right, and then we're simply back on the 4 chord in the key of E flat. So far, this is simple major scale, minor scale harmony. This next chord, we have D flat 9 or D flat 7. Here I'd recommend stretching outside of this a little bit. It's the flat 7 chord, and it's very common. We can play A flat melodic minor or the chord scale of D flat Lydian dominant. That tends to be a good go-to choice for the flat 7 chord. We go back to our 1 chord, 6 chord, no problem. F7. Again, you may look at that circle of fifths. We could think of this as the 5 of 5 in the key of E flat, which borrows from the key of B flat. And this is often how it works in standard tunes like this. We have the key center, like the key of 3 flats, and then it goes 1 counterclockwise and 1 clockwise and ends up going back to the original key signature. Again, our chord scales that we want to study and associate with this. Again, if you know all 5, then you can play in the same position if you like. Notice the key of 2 flats just has an A natural rather than an A flat when you compare it to the E flat major. So far we've had a few different note collections. So notice that knowing the 5 fingerings will allow you to continue playing in stepwise motion while staying within a position or two of your original. Okay, let's move ahead to a little bit later in the form. We have E flat major. Then we have A minor 7 flat 5, D7 flat 9. That's a 2-5 in G minor, which is the key of 2 flats again. So key of 2 flats, relative major, relative minor. Just adjusting key signature. And then when you're working with minor, you can take the F and replace it with F sharp. Back to the E flat major. A flat 7 or A flat 13 is what I'm playing here. At first glance, this might seem a lot different, but actually we just take from the key of 3 flats, we change the G to a G flat, and we end up with what's called E flat melodic minor, all the same notes except for 1 note. And when we work with A flat, we can call that A flat Lydian dominant. So all this might sound kind of complicated, but it's really pretty simple. So when you're playing stepwise lines, E flat, you can play all the same notes, just change the G to G flat. Now we have a typical 3-6-2-5. For stepwise motion on this one, the simplest solution to investigate would be the F melodic minor. That's just staying as close as possible to our original key of 3 flats. Keep in mind, in particular on dominant 7th chords, there are really lots of options, so it's worth digging deep into those, but these are some real go-to scales to study and work on. We have 2, 5, again, key of 3 flats, but you can make that sound a little more sophisticated by perhaps playing E flat harmonic major. flat harmonic major as a flat 6 rather than a natural 6. And when you relate it to the B flat 7, you end up with Mixolydian flat 9. So again, just one note adjusted over. Back to the 1 chord, and then we're going to have a real quick 5. Back to the very beginning of the tune. So you may have noticed I played a little bit in between some of the notes, so that's always fair game as well. Remember to practice scales, play phrases. They're two really very different modes of thinking and experiencing what you're doing. Practice these chords and associate these scales, associate the arpeggios, really outside of time. Let your ear absorb the sounds. Play a chord, play a few notes from a scale. Don't be afraid to play a sour note. Your ear needs to hear it, needs to know what to avoid or how to treat that note. Once we've internalized all these sounds, or at least even some of the sounds, you can start connecting these chords and making nice flowing lines in a real intuitive way. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you want to dig deeper with tunes like this one and develop great improv skills, sign up for a free trial at fretprints.com. Enjoy your practice session, and I'll see you all in the next one.